Did new revelations show just how involved Nick Sirianni has actually been with the Eagles offense and why he might be the reason the Eagles struggle running the football? Jason Kelce admitted there's some anxiety roaming around the NovaCare complex before the Birds head down to Big D, and we finally got some really good injury news surrounding the linebacker position. Just broke this morning. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. You want to know how you know the Eagles just suffered a really bad loss for the first time in many, many months? Well, just look at the Eagles fans being perched outside the NovaCare complex with a sign reading, "Run the ball," at 7:28 a.m. this morning. And as the Eagles now prepare to face the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday night in what seems like a must-win game for the number one seed, the rushing attack, or I guess lack thereof, has come under a lot of scrutiny as the Birds called just 9 running plays against the 49ers for an abysmal 20 total rushing yards. And now the blame is shifted from Ertz to DeAndre Swift to the offensive line to Brian Johnson and maybe now a little bit of Nick Sirianni. Of course, when asked about the lack of runs yesterday, offensive coordinator Brian Johnson gave a pretty unenthusiastic response.
Yeah, I mean, it always starts with being able to run the ball efficiently and effectively. We got to continue to do a better job at that. And part of it, too, is just, finding that balance of patience, of just being able to continue to hammer attempts and try to get the guys in a good rhythm and a good flow.
Be more patient? How about you just run the football a lot more than 9 times every single game, Brian? Although, what if Brian Johnson isn't actually the reason Philadelphia only ran the football less than 10 times on Sunday? What if the entire offensive problem stems from the offensive-minded head coach and Nick Sirianni? Well, Eagles insider and friend of the show, Dave Spadaro, kind of gave a little peek behind the curtain yesterday, saying that Nick Sirianni is extremely involved. This is Nick's offense, with input from the coaching staff. They put together the game plan during the week, and then Brian knows where to go, what bet of options to call, and in what situations. Does that sound to you like Nick Sirianni is actually pulling the strings behind the curtain and Johnson is just doing his bidding? That is technically how most NFL coaching staffs go. It's not like Nick Sirianni doesn't have any involvement in the offensive side of things, but we're really kind of focusing in our hate on the offensive struggles towards Brian Johnson, yet maybe he's just the puppet with a puppet master behind him calling all these passing plays or lack of RPOs or just 9 runs per game. And think back to when Sirianni did this during his first full season as NFL head coach. Back in 2021, the early season game plan was passing the football, and Jalen Hurts had not developed into a strong passer up to that point, and Birds fans, including myself, were roasting the Eagles for forcing Hurts to look terrible throwing the ball and never giving Miles Sanders in the running game a chance. And it got so bad. Do you remember that year? It took forever for Sirianni to get away from passing and back to rushing, and finally he did in a primetime game against Brady and the Bucs, where the run game started to come alive, and the Birds were able to utilize the running game, not the passing game, to run their way all to an NFC wildcard spot. Now, I'm a big Nick Sirianni fan. I'm not sitting here saying he's a bad head coach or he doesn't know what he's doing, but he does seem to get a little bit stubborn at times, at least historically, and maybe he needs to kind of take a step back and look at what's actually worked for Philadelphia the past couple of months and not just force the ball down the field with these very simple drop-back passes. Now, the flip side of this whole look back is that back in 2021, Philadelphia didn't have the same outside receiving weapons that they have this season, and honestly, you kind of need to give the football to your best playmakers, which includes A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. I mean, A.J. seems to think that when he posted this hilarious meme about needing the ball more to his Twitter account yesterday. And so you see why it's difficult to find a balance between running the football a lot more than 9 times and passing the football not enough. Although, as Jason Kelce pointed out this morning, maybe just calling more runs isn't the overall fix when the O-line isn't doing their job, not creating holes, and giving no real lanes for the running backs to run through.
Quite frankly, I didn't get it done on a couple of these run plays. I had a pull block early where Greenlaw butted me, kind of got had to pull a little bit deeper because of some penetration, and I didn't stick the block the way I usually do. There was a toss crack that would have been a huge explosive run on, I think, our 3rd drive, where the safety backdoored me, got too far out in front of it. There's a wham play that, the safety just kind of snuck in there at the end and made the tackle. That's a huge play if that pops out. I mean, there's a lot of plays that are close to hitting them. We're just not quite executing at the level that we have in the past and that we need to as a unit.
I mean, Kelce's not wrong. If you want to run the ball more, you need more than 2.5 yards per carry, 3 yards per carry. I mean, look at some of these 9 runs that they did on Sunday versus San Francisco. It's not like they were hitting on massive holes and big gashes and big chunk yard plays on the ground. They barely could move the ball 2 or 3 yards, and I guess eventually just got tired of not being successful. Okay, so maybe the Birds aren't great with just straight up running the football, but the lack of RPOs has surely played an impact on Philadelphia not being able to rush for 100 yards a game consistently, 150 yards a game. Remember when that used to be a thing for Philadelphia? The lack of RPOs seems to be a big-time problem. Let me know what you guys think. Does Jalen Hurts' knee issue cause the coaching staff to steer away from the running game and focus more on just simple drop-back passes and really easy handoffs to running backs? I'm not really sure, but I do know Philadelphia has to find a way to successfully run the football when they take on Dak Prescott, Big D, and that Cowboy defense on Sunday night. And speaking of the running game and Jalen Hurts' injury, did you enjoy this clip as much as I did of David Carr in the NFL Network saying Philadelphia should bench Hurts because he's banged up and instead play Marcus Mariota?
This team, you have to have a serious conversation if you're Philly, and you have to really say, is it better for us to play Marcus Mariota right now and let Jalen get fully healthy? Ooh. Because I would argue that it does not matter if you're the number 1 seed. You have to do, like, if you're Nick Sirianni, this is the type of decision and conversation you have to have if you have a big picture mentality. And I think you can have that conversation, honestly, with Jalen. And if you set him down, that's all Jalen talks about. Is the end result and getting to the Super Bowl and winning that thing.
That was a great endorsement of this channel and the over 31,000 of you guys and the 40% who are not subscribed who actually enjoy real Eagles content and not some national media talking head who's watched about 5 minutes of Eagles football giving you an absolute crazy take just for clicks. Now, of course, when it comes to Dallas, many of us are wondering if Philadelphia's loss to the 49ers is going to recharge them, refocus them on the task at hand, and give us a better overall product on Sunday night versus the Dallas Cowboys. And Goedert seems to think so when he told WIP yesterday that I think losses are good. You get away with things and win. The details don't kill you. Sometimes after a loss, you look at the details and say, we probably should have cleaned this up a little bit better. Brandon Graham also echoed that on the show yesterday, but Jason Kelce told WIP just this morning that there is a little bit of anxiety building following the drubbing by San Fran.
So, I think everybody in that building is firmly aware of what we need to do to get better and constantly talking and trying to figure out how we can get things better. Like, it's just a different vibe in the building. There's a little bit more anxiety. And I talked about this after the Jets game. Whenever there's a loss, there's just a different feel in the building, especially in Philadelphia, because you're going to hear it. It's not like you're going to lose and just be able to, tune it out. No, not in this city. So it forces you to have conversations, to talk to your teammates, to talk to your coaches, to really iron out what's happening.
One thing I am confident in is that whenever a player is rumored to be available, Eagle fans will demand that we get him right away, and that includes not just Zach Ertz, but now Ndamukong Suh, who, according to the always reliable wink-wink ML Football, is expected to sign with a contender soon. The Eagles are also viewed as the most likely destination for the 36-year-old, a front office source said. Now, sure, Suh wouldn't be a bad rotational piece, but I really don't know how much he can actually play when you have Milton Williams and Fletcher Cox and Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis all already here. Like, sure, maybe his fresh legs can help out later in a game, but it's not like he would be a mega signing, something that would change the course of the Eagles' defense. They got gashed by San Francisco in the rushing attack just a couple of days ago, but it felt like it wasn't necessarily a personnel thing, it was a scheme thing. And while, again, I'm not against re-signing Ndamukong Suh, I don't feel like the 30-whatever-year-old defensive tackle is going to make that big of a deal if Philadelphia goes out and grabs him. Plus, where are you getting this roster spot? You already signed Shaq Leonard to the active roster. Zach Ertz apparently is coming, if you keep believing the reports, although we're already at Wednesday, so maybe that's not going to happen. Unsure. You got to find more roster space, and I'm not sure the Eagles need to do that with an aging defensive tackle. Now, I am excited to report that both Dallas Goedert and now, look at this, Zach Cunningham should be back, according to Philadelphia Inquirer reporter Jeff McLean, who tweeted this morning that the Eagles should get back tight end Dallas Goedert this week, and the expectation, from what I'm hearing, is that linebacker Zach Cunningham should be ready for Sunday for the Cowboys as well. Now, we kind of knew the Goedert part because he'd been pushing to play against the 49ers, held out just due to extra week of healing, and now is 80 to 90% according to his interview on WIP yesterday. But still, Goedert being back is a big improvement, not only for run blocking, but also in the passing attack. But Cunningham being back would be a huge relief to a linebacker core that got worked against San Francisco. And even though it's been kind of a weak spot overall as a group, Cunningham has been the best part of the linebackers, and him being out last week was a big loss. With Shaq Leonard going through his first walkthrough today, there's a chance you could see Leonard and Cunningham as the two starting linebackers, and that's got to be better than Nicholas Morrow and Christian Ellis, right? right? We've got plenty more stuff happening in the next couple of days and weeks, including probably a full practice report following tomorrow's practice, as they're going to be out there for the first real time. Today's a walkthrough. Tomorrow will be a real padded practice. We'll get to see Shaq Leonard for the first time. Be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for that. And of course, get ready for tonight's Wednesday Link Live. Myself and Josh Davis, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Haven't done one of these in a couple of weeks with travel and vacations, and we're finally back. Hopefully breaking down some Zach Ertz news. You never know. 7 p.m. Eastern time, my channel, Josh's channel. If you haven't joined ever, they're a bunch of fun. Don't be late. I'm Thomas Mott signing off on Wednesday. This has been The Thomas Mott Show.